Welcome back to our drum mix. In this tutorial, we will focus on the character building of the snare sound. The properties of the snare sound are the batter hit and the rattling of the snare itself. We have recorded two signals, snare top and snare bottom. Let's take a look at our main signal, the snare top. You must first listen to the original sound. The best way to do this is by looping a recorded signal where the snare is played. While recording, we already have determined that snares sometimes have a tonal flutter, which at this point can be eliminated by using an EQ in the channel. Let's choose and open an EQ. Next, let's look for the frequencies that interfere. To find these disturbing frequencies, use the LMF EQ. Use a Q factor of 8 and a gain of about 10 dB. Now, let's slowly make a sweep from the bottom to the top. Our snare is sounding fairly good. I still find that a frequency at around 760 Hz is not necessary. Now, I'll sweep the Q factor slowly back. At a certain point, you will notice that there are many other frequencies existing. The bandwidth is too wide. At around 5, I find it good. Now, I will cut the frequency that is not too disturbing at about 3 dB. It should be enough. With the same technique, I can now edit one or the other frequency. I will increase the high proportion of 4.4 kHz and Q4 to 2.5 dB. I find the deep proportions good. My snare is almost ready. The amount of frequencies you cut or boost depends on the snare you are recording and your discrete listening. The crosstalk of the bass drum is slightly attenuated. Carefully use the low cut. I am choosing a slope of 24 dB per octave. Choosing a very high frequency makes the snare sound too thin. When I'm too deep, nothing happens. I find it good here at around 95 Hz. To check whether we are moving in the right direction, now is the time for a bypass check. We'll bypass the EQ to listen if our signal processing has gained pressure and quality. Now, we'll move on to dynamics processing. We hear that the snare microphone picks up the hi-hat and bass drum. We can eliminate this crosstalk by using a gate. We will set the attack and release to minimum. We can now relatively hear what is going on with the threshold. The gate opens on the snare hit fairly accurate. Now I will adjust the hold value so the complete signal comes through. With the release value, I can decide if the decay of the snare should be somehow shorter. Selecting a longer attack time will destroy the pressure I've created. Therefore, I'll set it to minimum. Once again, we should perform a bypass check for confirmation. With a gate, we have edited the crosstalk and decay. With a compressor, I can now edit the transient. The key to this is the attack time. Let's choose a compressor. I'll set a compression ratio of 1:8 and a threshold level right about here to activate its function. Now I will move the attack button all the way up until a clear punch is heard. Good but abrupt. Therefore, I'm reducing the amount of ratio and threshold. A bypass check helps me once again to confirm my editing. Now it's your turn. Edit your signal with the EQ. Eliminate the crosstalk with a gate. Use a compressor to gain more pressure. Confirming with a bypass check. When you are ready, we will continue with the snare bottom video.